What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Stay in Phillies Sports History for September 22nd, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. And while they tried their best to not win it, lots of runners left on base, things like that, tried to blow it. It's always good to beat the Mets. 5-4 Phillies win. Update of the standings. They are now up 5 games in the wild card, 3 for that first one. Got the magic number down to 5 just to clinch, 6 to make it to that top spot. Castellanos has been certifiably hot. Went over 100 RBIs for the first time in his career. Kudos for that. Kimbrel and Alvarado look dominant in the bullpen. And again, they beat the Mets. It's always good to see them kind of fold. It's the typical rite of passage for the Mets to just not be good in September. Ranger looked good too. 6 2/3, 6 Ks, gave up the 4 runs. But if they're going to be able to score runs the way they kind of have been, and again, they go through these spells where they leave runners on base, but they got enough to get the job done. Trim that magic number again. Let's keep it rolling. Speaking of rolling, it is Scott Rolen night tonight, rescheduled from the summer. He's going to be inducted into the Phillies Wall of Fame. And I know Boa and some other folks said, well, get over it, blah, blah. And look, I'm not going to get over it. 2, even though I don't necessarily blame it, I think we might have a topic for Back to the Future coming up. I don't associate him, even though he played longer in Philly than any other team. I just don't associate him as a Philly. And I think, to me, putting Rolen in there, yes, he was voted in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. Is he a product of the fact that he wasn't caught using steroids and he's sort of like a second tier? I know he's borderline. I don't know. I just look at it when you got guys like Pete Rose, who what Pete Rose did had nothing to do with his playing career, and it had to do when he was managing, which I don't know. I mean, didn't have any impact on his playing career. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I don't know where I stand without getting into it. And again, I think this might be a Back to the Future episode, just because I have some things that I want to do with the Philly Sports Hall of Fame, and I had some other guys that might be borderline. But I don't know. A guy like Barry Bonds, who before he did steroids was one of the best players ever, he can't get in. But then Scott Rolen, I don't know. I'm not ready to just do that. And honestly, to me, I'm not committing to Scott Rolen as this fan favorite, and I'm going to shower you with pretend love and this. No, like I could care less. If you want to like Scott Rolen, go ahead. I don't have any time for it, and I like Larry Boa, but don't tell me to get over it. Like it is what it is. I'm not necessarily mad at him. I mean, part of it was the organization. I also think he didn't see the writing on the. Just go, and I also think, and this could be another topic for Back to the Future, I think this is like symbolic of the watering down of the Phillies Wall of Fame. I just feel like, why do they have to put someone in every year? And sometimes it seems like they're grasping. Obviously, this year was when Rolen got inducted, and the Carpenters, they deserved it. I just feel sometimes, I mean, eventually, what are you going to put in? Steve Jeltz, Tommy Hurt into the Phillies Wall of Fame? Like, slow your roll. Doesn't necessarily need to be every year you put one in. You can have alumni weekend and celebrate things, but you're kind of watering it down. And I don't know. Let me know what you think about the Phillies Wall of Fame, and if it's sort of, I don't know, watered down, and if they ought to make it more of a prestigious thing. Like I don't know. Let me know. My wheels are turning. I'm jotting down notes for Back to the Future, so stay tuned for that. But bottom line, Phils win. Trim that magic number. Also, if you're tracking our Phillies over win bet, we now need 5 more wins with 9 to go to cash that bet. So we just got to go 5-4 over the last 9 games, and we will be set. All right. Some Eagles news. Oh, and by the way, if you want more Phillies coverage, check out our friends over at 2008 Phils. Link is in the description. 75% off of your subscription. Access to all the stuff. It's $2 a month. You get the t-shirt for the 2008 championship and more on that 2008 championship in a bit. All for, like I said, $2 a month, $20 for the year. Check out the description the link in the description. And while you're at it, check out Back to the Future. We dropped a new episode on Thursday. Talked a lot about Barry Ashby, his life, his career, his impact, and just sort of the message and what he represents. So check out Back to the Future with a PH wherever you get your podcast. All right, now for some Eagles news. I saw on Twitter, I think it was Etan Shander or somebody was basically told Eagles fans to calm down, that they're paying Jalen Hurts a lot of money to win games, and that's what he's done so far. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think it's the way they're winning games. I mean, we've seen Kevin Kolb come in and win 2 games in a row. We've seen guys like Bobby Hoying come in and impress. So while I don't necessarily disagree with the statement and the sentiment, it's a different sort of 2-0 than what we come to expect. Now, do I think they're going to get it together this week? I do. More on that on Monday. I also think that, and they were talking about a little bit on the radio, and it's something I said Thursday night and talked a little bit about, but there are only a handful of plays from all of a sudden we're not really concerned about this. I think ultimately you take one play, and I know a lot of teams can say this, but one play and you take the bomb to A.J. Brown where he was obviously pass interfered and he catches that touchdown, all of a sudden we're looking at Thursday night's game a lot differently. So I think some of it has to do with the lack of preseason reps. I think the fact that you played 2 tough defensive coordinators, which they're going to be in. Don't be surprised if this game on Monday night's not a lot really that pretty either. But then you go from Bill Belichick to a Thursday night game. So like, yeah, I mean, everybody talks about that stretch later in the season. This is a tough stretch kind of to open up the season. All of a sudden, this Tampa game on Monday night looks a lot more difficult than it did, which if you go back to what our Eagles preseason prediction was, we said there's going to be teams that come out of nowhere that aren't what they should be and vice versa. So I think it's relax, but Etan, like I do think that like, yeah, we're paying him a lot of money to win games, but we're paying him a lot of money to win games and look good while doing it. So just wanted to bring that out. Kyron Johnson is re-signed and back on the practice squad to give us a little depth at linebacker. He can actually also help on special teams, which again is a huge weak point of this game. Or this team. So we'll see, but I like that. I still don't think Howie's done with the secondary. I don't know if it'll be for this game, but I think he has a move or two up his sleeve. And everybody keeps talking Budda Baker, who's on the IR right now, but just Howie's got something. All right, Clashing Conferences podcast. Be sure to check them out. I watched this latest episode, and man, things are heating up. It's very entertaining. I find myself laughing and just cracking up. So check that out, the Clashing Conferences podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Quick Sixers update, and this one is more on the stadium front, or their new arena, I should say. Basically, the Fashion District is in some financial problems. The mall, which I don't even know what it's called now. It's the Gallery, but is it still the Gallery or is it something else? Either way, that building, that part of that area that is going to have to be bought and rezoned and redeveloped has some financial problems. There's a big article in the Inquirer yesterday about it, and it could actually delay or even completely stop this arena plan in its track, which is why there seems to be more of a sense of urgency on a lot of both sides to try to get some things done. I guess all 3 sides to get some things done, because if they go into bankruptcy, there's so many hoops and like red flags, and I'm not up on real estate law and things like that, but enough that it's going to give the Sixers some pause where they're like, wait a minute, maybe let's just scrap this plan and look for something else. So it's something worth monitoring in the coming months. But I think that's why there's sort of that sense of urgency to get something done. Flyers still in training camp. I've been telling you to get on the bandwagon now. Go to Philly Goat. Get some Flyers gear. Get some stuff for the Union playoff run, the Phillies playoff run, Eagles season, Sixers training camp coming up. Whatever you want, they have. Wide selection, any color, any size, kids, hats, stickers, you name it. They're the GOAT for a reason. So go to phillygoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. You guys have been doing a great job with this. Continue to do it. I know some of you, I work with people who already have their Christmas shopping done. Some of you are starting to think about that. Philly Goat is not a bad idea for some Christmas presents. You might have some late fall, winter birthdays, guys like me. If you want to buy me a shirt from Philly Goat and use the promo code to save some money, go ahead and do that. But go to phillygoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. Okay, I mentioned the 2008 Phillies. And first of all, I still have a hard time grasping my head around the fact that it's been 15 years since that World Series championship. But on this day, back in 2008, the Phillies beat the Braves 6-2, and it was their 89th win of the year. J. Happ went 6 2/3 inning, gave up 2 earned runs, 5 Ks. If you remember, he was like the rookie that came up that year and really helped them down the stretch, needing some wins and things like that. Pat Burrell hit a 3-run homer, which was the 18th consecutive game that the Phillies had hit a home run, which is a club record. Now, this home run streak also coincided with their move to overtake the Mets and to ultimately win the division. And again, I love it when they beat the Mets in September. It's awesome. But they started the streak on September 3rd. They were 3 games back in second place in the division. And then on this day, when they beat the Braves with Pat Burrell's 3-run homer, they were up 2.5 games in first place. Obviously, they would clinch 4 games later. The home run streak did end the next night in a 3-2 loss to the Braves. But on this day, it was the Phillies beating the Braves, hitting a home run in their 18th consecutive game, increasing their lead over the Mutts 2.5 games. And speaking of the Mutts, I meant to mention this the other day, and going back to Philly Goat for a second, they have some parody T-shirts on teams from the NFC East or National League East, and one of them is a New York Mutts shirt. Pretty cool. If you're into those, I know I like the different to make fun of the team. So they do have Mutts shirts if you want to get a gag gift from one of your Mets fan friends. And I have a couple of them out there. You know who you are. All right, but again, on this day, Phillies beat the Braves, home run in the 18th consecutive game, increasing their lead in first place on their way to winning the World Series. The Mets have not won one since then. All right, time for the Who Wore It Best in Philly Sports. Yesterday, we talked about number 19, and in another close one, it was Rick McLeish winning over Greg the Bull Luzinski with 38% of the vote to 33% to the Bull. This one was torn. I was surprised at the love Scotty Hartnell got too. But it was Rick McLeish wearing number 19 best. And again, I don't think you could go wrong with that. I was impressed with the amount of people that said, older guys in my on my social media, who said that was their favorite hockey player growing up. So pretty cool. Congrats to Rick McLeish for wearing the number 19 best. All right, today we are going to go with another one of those iconic numbers in Philly sports. And what a way to end the week. Going with number 34. And currently nobody wears number 34 in Philly. Some notables, John Van Beesbrook, Craig Berube in his first stint with the Flyers, not when he was the coach, Herschel Walker, Terry Hogue, Reno Mahe, my brother's all-time favorite player, Cliff Lee the first time he was in Philly, Kevin Millward, Paul Bird, one of my favorite pitchers from the 93 team, Big Ben Rivera, and everybody's favorite announcer, Gary Sarge Matthews. But ultimately in Philly, there are two guys that really go up there for number 34. Both of them are retired, and I think you might think this is a slam dunk, but we got Charles Barkley versus Roy Halladay. Barkley was here 8 years, 6 All-Star games, never really won anything because of the team that they put around him before he was ultimately traded to the Suns. And he only wore 34 for 7 of those years. If you remember, he wore 32 the year Magic Johnson retired because of HIV. Going up against Roy Halladay, who was only here for 4 years, but man, did he pack a lot into those 4 years. He won a Cy Young. He pitched a perfect game. He pitched a no-hitter in the playoffs, made 2 All-Star games, and just was one of those guys that Philly fans fell in love with, even at the end of his career, that when Ryan Howard's Achilles blew, threw his ass off that game, gave up the 1 first-inning run against the Cardinals, and unfortunately the offense couldn't even go. He was just a clutch money pitcher, and again, he was only here for a shorter amount of time than Barkley, but damn, did he put a lot into those 4 years. So now it's your turn. Who is wearing number 34, or who wore number 34 best in Philly sports? Was it Charles Barkley, Roy Halladay, both Hall of Famers, both numbers retired, both had some very memorable times here in Philly? You let me know. I'm glad I don't have to vote for this one. On this day back in 2008, Phils beat the Braves 6-2, hitting a home run in their 18th straight game en route to just blowing past the Mets yet again in September. En route to that division, as well as the World Series championship. Be sure to go to Philly Goat, get your Mutts shirt if that's what you want. If not, they have other stuff too. Be sure to use that promo code. Check out my boys over at the Clash and Conferences. It's very entertaining. I think you just need to check it out. It's hard to describe. It's just 4 guys just talking shit about their teams. Like, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, things you would do at the bar on a Friday night, sitting in your buddy's basement, out on the back porch, by the fire, whatever. It's just what you do, and it's a lot of fun. If you're interested in more Phillies coverage, go to 2008 Phils. The link is in the description. 5 more wins for us to cash that bet. 5 more wins for the Phillies to clinch a playoff spot. Things are looking good in Philly land, except for the weather. This is the last nice day of the weekend, so go out and enjoy it. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go enjoy your Friday, and until next time, I will see you when I see you.